Week 14,
Let's preview some football.
The last week of buys, fantasy football will be leading into the finals. The Sunday early games, Cowboys, Washington football team, big NFC East matchup. The Cowboys coming off that 10-day break after beating the New Orleans Saints. They have the number one offense in the league. The Washington football team have turned their season around 4 in a row after starting 2-6, and some pretty reasonable scalps in that. The Bucks and the Raiders are probably the most accomplished of those teams.
Yeah, well, outside of Chase Young, they're starting to get healthy. Anton Gibson's been playing really well. They get Curtis Samuel finally back in the squad.
Unfortunately, young gun Logan Thomas, who just was battling a hammy and had been back for 2 games, I think he's done his ACL.
Confirmed. I saw that during the week. Yeah, that's season done.
Very sad for the young tight end.
And I think, who was it? I think it was one of the Seahawks running backs. No, it was Kenyon Drake. I think he's done his ACL as well from a hip. From like a hip drop tackle. I think Logan had something similar happen to him.
We've seen in the rugby league the hip drop tackle getting, scrutiny. It's a hard one because it's like we've spoken before. That's kind of a classic tackling technique. Like if you're grabbing onto a 230-pound man, the best way to bring them to the ground is to drop your weight. Yeah.
I think in the NRL, it's probably easier to officiate because usually with the way the tackles happen, as a guy does a hit up, a few guys in there, and then you've got your third dude in there who then comes in and does the hip drop. Whereas the NFL, it's usually bang bang plays, guy coming across the middle. You're grabbing him the best way you can, and maybe you're going to get occasionally the hip drop. Like it's going to happen.
It's a very grey area for mine. You don't want guys doing their ACLs. I understand that. The counter argument is that it's a contact sport, and that's a very efficient way of bringing someone to the ground. Be interesting to see what happens.
Having said that, they did remove the horse collar because it had been, Roy Williams, safety for Dallas Cowboys, breaking a lot of legs back in the day.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. That's a very different motion. Grabbing a guy by the back of their neck and throwing them to the ground,
riding them down essentially on the back of their legs.
So. Compared to something which is pretty close to a good tackling technique.
Yeah, well, like I said, in the quick time framing succession of like the bang bang play of a guy, you essentially just grabbing him and then trying to take him down, and that could end up being a hip drop tackle. I think it'd be very, very hard to try to officiate that out of the game,
especially what we've seen this year with taunting and the over officiating, and perhaps. Again, we get the reasoning behind it, but perhaps the helmet to helmet kind of stuff as well, possibly over officiated. I'd hate to see a new rule come in. Shout out to Logan Thomas. I hope his recovery goes well, but I wouldn't like to see the game, try to make a new rule out of that one.
We don't want NRL Magic Round. Let's say that.
that's for sure. But anyways, let's go back to this game. It's a huge NFC East matchup. It is in Washington. Does anyone think the football team can? Yeah, I like it. I like that.
I haven't got a heap of upsets. I think I've got of the upsets I've gone are all home teams, and I think Washington at home coming on a 4-win streak, finding their mojo. Cowboys have been a bit up and down of late.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons has been excellent for them,
hasn't he? Yeah. So, Trayvon Diggs got another one last week.
So and for that reason, the offense maybe not clicking as well as I thought it would.
Their running game seems to struggle. That Tony, the numbers were inflated against the Saints because Tony Pollard had that massive run, but outside of that, they really struggled to move the ball.
Yep.
Zeke Elliott looks like he's playing kind of busted up. He looks like he's playing.
Oh, he's definitely busted up. He's got all the kinds of
playing through some pain. I've gone the other way. I've gone the Cowboys, but I think this will be a close...
You think their record, where they're at, like they're their team, you look at it, you're like, they're going to play playoffs. They should do Washington easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Washington just has a bit of mojo at the moment.
And I like that you did that because I was looking at this and I was like, I hope we don't all pick the Cowboys. I hope someone picks Washington here. And I know you've got a little bit of vested interest as well.
Yeah.
Having a few.
Well, you blokes all picked
you
picked all the Bills last week, and I picked the Patriots. So fuck you guys.
Excuse me. Check the tape. Check the tape here. I think I picked the Patriots.
Well, you didn't pick that in your tips because you had that wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we both had the Bills.
Yeah. Check the tape.
Patriots. Wait, yeah, Bills. Yeah.
Anyways. Check the tape. I say a lot of shit.
Anyway, Monks, who did you pick in this one?
Yes, I have picked the Cowboys as well. They are favourites.
So this is too short. I would not be touching this head to head. Let the listeners know, Monks.
All right. Well, apparently too short at $1.47. The football team are out at $2.71 at the moment. We have a line of 4.5, total match points of 48.
Yeah, that's too short.
Yeah.
I don't like any
Especially
of that.
when you look at that line as well.
Yeah, but very very interesting matchup.
48 though.
You like the overs?
I don't. Yeah, potentially the way the Washington be playing at the moment, I think they'll score 20.
Shout
I
out to
think
Taylor Heineke. He's been
yeah,
more than just a game managing quarterback. He's been a pretty good quarterback. If the season were to finish this weekend, the football team would be in the playoffs. They're currently the 6th seed in the NFC, so an enticing matchup there.
So just quickly on that, 6 of Washington's last 7 games have gone unders, total match points.
That defense.
Well, they did. Well, they come Cowboys though. That's the difference. I think Washington. Yeah, they'll score their 20 odd, but can they keep Cowboys to 20? Maybe not. And it'll be 30 points, which means Washington have to chase a bit of points, which leads me to more to overs than to unders.
You know what else sucks to bet on? Unders, overs.
Oh yeah,
it's so hard. Like today, I took the unders. The Steelers' stout defense. Inverted commas.
You were looking good for most of the match, and then fourth quarter.
And then the Steelers on offense haven't shown much. They've averaged 20 points on offense. They went out and scored 28. Yep. Unders, overs. It's a flip of a coin, really. And then anything which is weather related. I'd leave the unders, overs alone.
I think scientists can't even get the weather right.
So. Fucking idiots. Man. Anyways, don't need another Bureau of Meteorology rant. That was hard to string together. A possibly less enticing matchup is the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's Jaguars in Spanish. Take on the Tennessee Titans. The Jags, they looked very ordinary last week against the Rams. The Titans are coming off the bye. A little bit of a tidbit. Derrick Henry is still 3rd in the NFL for rushing yards. He has missed 4 games now, thanks to that fracture in his foot. Bit of a clash, I suppose, between Dontrell Hilliard and Deonta Foreman. You'd imagine they probably pound the rock there. No A.J. Brown. I imagine we all have picked the Titans. The Jags did pull up an unbelievable upset of the Bills a few weeks ago. I do feel like that's a bit of an anomaly.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Titans by, I won't say a lot because they're going to have to run the shit out of the ball, but they'll still win this easy.
I agree. Titans, odds and line, please.
I think total points in this will be pretty low.
Pretty low. We'll see. So Titans are favourites at $1.21. The Jaguars are out at $4.45 at the moment. We have a line of 8.5. Total match points of 43.5.
I like that line. I'd take the Titans. I don't know about their unders overs if the Jags can score enough points. They've really struggled on offense.
No,
they've really struggled to score points.
And they benched Robinson for 20-plus snaps after a fumble. So
yeah. Urban Meyer, don't fumble his football. Denzel Washington vibes from remember the Titans. Petey Jones,
sit on the bench.
You fumble that football, you run a mile, and then I'll put my foot up your ass. Something like that.
Yeah. So next match, we got the Seahawks taking on the Houston Texans. Seahawks probably got back to the right of the ship a little bit. Russell, of course, looking very rusty. Now looking classic kind of danger. Russ did break their 3-game losing streak against the 49ers with that win. Their D played well. Had a couple of picks. Texans, on the other hand, are Texans, and they got absolutely smoked by Jonathan Taylor and the Colts.
They got
Colts, sorry.
They got tailored.
Yeah.
They got tailored. That's going to be a verb. It's like getting Henried. I think that we have to make that. Is that a verb? It's a verb. Are they the worst
English
team?
on the Esky.
Are they the worst team in football? From what I've seen of late, I think they're worse than Detroit.
Talent-wise, yeah. Lions have been pretty unlucky with games that they potentially could have won.
Yeah. They nearly beat the Baltimore Ravens, for fuck's sake. Everyone for the longest field goal of all time. This is a toilet bowl of the week. I don't think we want to spend too much time on this.
I've gone Hawkies.
Seattle should get the job done. Obviously not the old Seattle, but should beat this Houston Texans team.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, yeah. So our favourites $1.23 at the moment. Houston are out at $4.20. We have a line of 8.5 and total match points of 41.5.
Very low line there.
That takes us into the Raiders and taking on the Chiefs in another divisional battle in the AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs did get their win over Denver last week to take the number 1 spot in AFC West clearly. And the Raiders, of course, lost to the Washington football team.
Close one.
And I think the Chargers lost last week too, didn't they?
No, they beat the Bengals.
They beat Bengals. That's right. So Chiefs are taking a slight lead in that division. I mentioned before, Kenan Drake did his ACL, so he's done. Perhaps it looks like your Raider-based fantasy team has been doing you a bit of a solid lately.
Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow did an absolute job. Josh Jacobs, they're very similar players in that they have a very low ceiling. They're never going to go out there and get you 38 points, but they've got quite a high floor. They're quite consistent.
Yes.
So any fantasy owners of those two out there would have been impressed. I think they both posted 20 plus. The Chiefs had a scrappy win, I thought, against your Broncos. Didn't do too much on offense.
Denver's D's been playing pretty elite.
They have been really good.
They're third in total points scored, and they showed it. They kept
they kept Travis Kelce to 27 yards and Tyreek Hill to 22 yards.
Yeah, 5 total catches between the two of them. So
the last time that happened would have been a long time ago, if not ever. I won't make you look that up.
Yeah. We'll talk about Denver when we get to the Denver's bit, but it didn't matter. They still won that game in the end. Do I think the Raiders are going to go into Arrowhead in December and win this game? No. I pick the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. But it's not the same Kansas City. It's not. It's not last year or the year before's Kansas City.
Their defense has been playing better. They have firmed up in the last month.
Their defense has gone actually like a long way in the right direction, but their offense is just.
Mahomes throw another pick in this.
Yeah, people are working them. The defensive coordinators, the other teams are working out this Chiefs offense.
And here's a shout out to Chris Collins for actually doing a good job in commentary. Kind of showed.
Collins were.
Yeah, kind of showed.
Now here's a guy.
Yeah, well, he kind of made the point with Mahomes that his sidearm action and the way he throws the football, maybe he's gone too far in that direction, as in he's gone away from his
regular releases to sidearm.
Exactly, and he goes to the 3/4 kind of release where, it's a quick throw versus the actual proper, traditional throw you would be accustomed to, a la, say, what Tom Brady does on a regular basis. That maybe he's got himself into a mode where he's, ends up taking more risks than he probably should, which has led to more picks this year, and then he maybe needs to get back to the focus on your 3-step, your 5-step drop, and your quick release versus moving around trying to throw sidearm or quick throws, which get you into those riskier situations. Hey, he did win an MVP and a Super Bowl. I
was seeing an interesting analysis for a guy that really did nothing in the NFL on one of the guys that's one of the most talented guys ever.
Yeah.
But I can see what you mean.
Yeah, but
what he means.
Yeah, like instead of that being a low percentage of his throws. It's now a high percentage of, if 50% of his passes are like that, then that's a lot more, more risk taking.
But how much is that Patrick Mahomes and how much is that his offensive line just having him under?
Well, they're talking about
duress?
the rookies, the centre, I think Creed Humphrey. And
apparently he's been really good, yeah.
And I can't remember
there is another one.
It was one of their guards has been really good, and they the guy they got from the Patriots, Tooney or something like that, plays left guard, so it would be their right guard. The other rookie.
Joe Tooney, something like that.
Yeah, so
Anyways,
they've got some good talent there. So it's whether just Mahomes is spending too much time trying to make a decision and then ends up falling into the flashier side of the play versus you just take the quick slant and get it out there, or whatever it is. Maybe something to watch. Either way, I still think the Chiefs win this game because Chiefs.
I agree. The Chiefs are 8-4. There's a lot of conjecture.
I don't think they win the Super Bowl this year. They'll make playoffs. I think there's some other better teams in the league currently.
That's interesting. Anyways, we're not talking about the Super Bowl. We are talking about the Chiefs and the Raiders. Amongst your tip and the odds, I think Kansas a little bit short there. Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kansas City are favourites $1.20. Raiders are $4.60 at the moment. We have a line of 10 and total match points of 47.5.
I'd see.
We got to remember
Kansas
Kansas City, December, Arrowhead.
They're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good, but it could also be windy and snowing. So they might score points. The other team may not. So I wouldn't touch any of the points related bets in that one. Saints Jets.
The Saints are on a 5-game losing streak. You remember? You would have remembered, a month and a half ago when they went out and beat the defending Super Bowl champions.
Or they started the season and beat Green Bay, smoked them.
Smoked them. They haven't looked like the same team since then. They're coming off a 10-day break. They had the Thursday night football loss to the Cowboys. I personally, I picked them up because the Bills are taking the Buccaneers this weekend, so I'm hoping the Saints defense can kind of find their mojo, rekindle some of that early spirit. The Jets lost to the Eagles. They weren't too bad. Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, finding a little bit of chemistry. We did mention last week Michael Carter is on IR with that high ankle sprain. He will remain on IR for the foreseeable future. Tevin Coleman getting the snaps there.
I think Coleman's been injured to start the week, and so is Moore. Moore hasn't. I know Moore definitely hasn't trained this week.
They're questionables.
Yeah, both questionables at this point.
On a Friday night, going into Sunday games in America, what does questionable mean?
They've got plenty of time to get it. They'll Friday practice is still ahead.
Means about as much as those ICC cricket rankings, I reckon. Yes. Three Saints.
Yeah,
I
did consider it. I led towards the Saints in here because I just don't think Zach Wilson's there yet. Elijah Moore, the other guys, as mentioned, being banged up. I can definitely see the upset here happening with the way the Saints have been playing, but I think
the Jets beat the Titans. They're not horrible.
Yeah, again, they're like kind of what the Lions are. They've got talent. They just haven't kind of all put it together yet, and they're a few pieces away from actually being a really good football team. But they can compete with these other teams. The Saints, on the other hand, I think have all of that talent. Probably held back with their quarterback play.
Yep.
Taysom Hill's been hot garbage and. The same.
Excellent athlete. Like some of the shit that he was doing, running the ball, hurdling blokes. You're like, wow. But
I think the Saints' chances probably rely on Alvin Kamara as the owner of Alvin Kamara on the end of the table.
Is he back?
Is he playing this week?
He must be.
Yeah, I think he's been listed as back.
That's huge.
Yeah, NFL has got him projected to play.
That swings it very much in Saints.
Because he's a freak. I've gone the Saints too. A lot to be desired with Taysom Hill's arm talent. That is for sure.
Well, if you want to run the RPO with Taysom Hill and have him hold the ball occasionally, having decoy or potential handoff Alvin Kamara changes the defensive strategy
massively. And I'll be hard pressed to remember a quarterback in recent memory that runs the ball as he doesn't have that elite speed. He's not like a Lamar Jackson. He's more like a Tim Tebow, if you will.
I think he's probably more like Dak is.
Yeah.
So as in a bigger size, he runs more than Dak is. But
I'd say more athletic even than Dak. But yeah, again, do you want your franchise quarterback out there? I think they ran,
or your starting tight end, depending on what angle you go.
Well, there was a point where they ran 5 quarterback runs in a row. Like, do you want him taking those licks? I don't know. In this game, I think they get the job done. I think they break their losing streak. Yeah. I think the Saints stay alive in the NFC South. Yep. That is my thoughts. Monks, what do the bookies think, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first I'll start off with, does this speak volumes about Jameis Winston with the Saints?
He's good.
Yeah.
He's actually good. As much as people want to rip on him, 30 for 30.
So also another bloke off contract at the end of the year that potentially could be on the move.
Pittsburgh Steelers, baby. Anyways.
So always a shout.
We are talking about the Saints and the Jets. Let's
finish it off so we can move on.
All right, let's finish this up. All right, so yeah, I have gone Saints as well. They are favourites at $1.41. The Jets are out at $2.92 at the moment. We have a line of 5.5 total match points of 43, with a note here saying that 7 of the Jets' last 9 games have gone overs.
Ooh. Against Saints, though, I think it'd be unders. But yeah, Jets likes good points.
Anyway. Don't bet on overs, unders.
Yeah, that's probably a rule we've learnt in this. So Falcons are then taking on the Panthers in another divisional battle, 5-7 for each of them.
Speaking of the NFC South, it's do or die for these guys. You have to win to stay alive. I would reckon pretty handy side in that division.
They're playing for second. They're playing for second place. But they got to get in there. CMC, of course, is done for the year. He's on IR, which means Hubba Bubba is going to be their leading runner.
Chubba.
Falcons, of course, coming off.
How good's that name? Just quietly. Yeah.
Falcons are coming off their loss to the Bucks. Gage was their best with 11 reception for 130 yards. I don't know with this. This is a really odd one because Cam was shit last week. Let's be honest.
After looking hot, in that win against Arizona, you're like, oh, Cam's back, he's back. And then we kind of got New England Cam last week, didn't we?
Well, I think you got Cam Newton without CMC again. I think that's the big difference.
Yep.
Yeah. And for me, that's the difference in this. The Panthers without CMC have been hot garbage this year. So I've picked the Falcons for this one.
I have also gone the Atlanta Falcons. No one expected them to do much this year. They may win this game and stay alive in the NFC race. Anyways, you don't see either of these teams bothering anyone in January, so may as well just get through it. Monkey's just doing a little bit of 50-50 coin flipping over there, if you will. Who'd you land on?
It landed on the Falcons, so I think I just cursed that game.
Nice. Carolina win by 30. What are the odds? The bookies have got the Panthers ahead.
They do. So Panthers are favourites at $1.71, only just with the Falcons sitting at $2.14 at the moment. We've got a line of 2.5 total match points of 41.5.
Low.
It is low, but what did we say with the previous one?
Don't bet under overs.
So speaking of a game that went unders last time was the Ravens taking on the Browns, but historically they played that 70-point game the year before.
They did.
So big AFC North matchup. Interesting, I think the Browns played the Ravens, had the bye, and now have the Ravens again.
Yeah, come around quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, so they haven't played any other team in between.
And that was that game that the Ravens won with Lamar throwing 4 picks.
Yes. Yeah, and Ravens, of course, coming off their 1-point loss to the Steelers, as we mentioned last week. What do we think here? Because my thoughts, and we've said this in the past, you learn the most in a loss. They did have the bye to also digest all of that. They are at home. And with the way Lamar's been playing in recent weeks, I have picked Cleveland. Because I think Ravens, though they're 8-4, they will play playoffs. Lost their mojo a little bit. And I think against the Steelers, you saw some of their frustration in that. Lamar throwing picks or trying throwing Hail Marys, down to Mark Andrews. We're just hoping he's down there somewhere. He'll catch it. They're kind of struggling in offense. They don't really have the running back talent they were hoping coming into the season.
No. But they also lost 2 running backs at the start of the year.
They lost Humphrey as well in this game against
Marlon
the
Humphrey,
Steelers.
former Pro Bowler.
I think ACL for him as well, season done. So, Ravens are very banged up. And you got to remember, they only beat the Browns by 3 points?
Yeah, it was close.
It was close?
It was close.
So I think Browns, they did play bad. They will say, hey, we didn't take the opportunities. But the Ravens haven't really done anything in between that. We've gone away, studied. That's why I think they're going to come in and win.
I really like where your head's at. This one is hard to split. I have gone the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just not convinced on that Cleveland Browns team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Great running game. I just don't know about Baker and his receivers. But
his shoulder's cooked. So.
Yeah, definitely needs surgery after the season finishes. But this a big home game here for Cleveland. Pittsburgh losing today helps them out. Cincinnati lost last week, and fuck, how good's the AFC North? They're all in there with a sniff. I've gone the Ravens without much confidence.
Yep.
So the Ravens do have the hoodoo over the Browns. They've won the last of their 4 matchups, and they beat them 6 points the other week. That being said, Lamar Jackson is also leading the league in sacks at 37. He's coming second to Joe Burrow with pass interceptions sitting at 13 at the moment.
It's not MVP Lamar this year, is it?
No, it's a bit rough. That being said, I've gone the Browns as well. They are favourites heading into the game, $1.67. Ravens are sitting at $2.21. We've got a line of 2.5 and total match points of 42.5.
Interesting value there for a team that's 8-4.
Yeah, I was going to say 220.
But as per what we've just discussed, who really knows there? AFC North hotly contested at the moment, as are many of the divisions in the NFL. Let's move into the late games on Sunday. Sean, your Denver Broncos take on the Detroit Lions. They've got to win, baby. They're off the nudie run. DeAndre Swift, Monks, can you chase him up? Last I saw, he's listed as questionable, so who the fuck knows? You catch much of the Broncos game?
Yep. Yeah, I got to watch this game. So, defense excellent, special teams terrible, offense also terrible. Outside of Javonte Williams, that is who
he has been a shining light, hasn't he?
Yeah, I said it to Monks last week. He's got the most rush yards for a running back without a start. So
Yep. Well, that was his first
that
one.
Was his first start,
with Melvin Gordon out of it. He had 102 yards on the ground and involved in the passing game, 76 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
he leads the league in broken tackles.
Broken tackles. Yep. I think Melvin Gordon's back training, and it was interesting. I think Melvin was saying today, he's like, because he's off contract, he's like, hey, I'd love to stay in Denver. I don't think the fantasy football fans would like me to stay. Of course, free Javonte Williams has been trending, I think, for quite a while.
But hey, that dual headed.
Well, they're the only team.
It works, man. It works.
Yeah, Denver's the only team with 2 rushes over 500 yards.
Exactly, and they're doing the best of it. But it's a formula, man. Like the Cowboys with Zeke and Pollard, with the Packers with Dillon and Jones. You can have 2 really good running backs and just keep them fresh and interchange them.
Yeah, well, Melvin Gordon had been taking the lead kind of role as a 60-40, so I wonder after last week they might switch that a little bit.
He's really good. He's a steal in the draft, Javonte Williams. Denver drafted really, really well.
Back to this game. They should beat the Lions.
They should, and they will. I'm pretty confident there.
It'd be a very Denver thing to lose to them. But
well, like Minnesota last week, we were all confident that they'd get the job done. But
I think defensively, we should be able to, very much handle the Lions in this one, even if Swift plays. I really like what Denver's doing defensively. Of course, offensively, they really need a good kick in the pants there. We'll have to see what Teddy does. I think Teddy threw 2 picks in that game, or maybe even 3. Think about it, against Kansas City.
2, but one was a intercept
Pick
return
6.
touchdown for Dan Sorensen.
Which doesn't help. If your defense is keeping the scores low, keeping Kansas City to 22 points, that's a win by any account.
Yeah.
But when, that's coming from, 7 points are coming from the offensive side, it doesn't help. The offense then trying to chase down those low scores. So, anyway,
that is for sure.
I've picked Denver.
Denver here.
Yep, I've gone Denver as well. DeAndre Swift, he hasn't practiced yet. At very least, it looks like he would need to have at least one practice before he starts, so that will come down to their Friday practice.
Game day decision, perhaps.
Yeah. All reports is he's a bit of a long shot to play. Williams is probably going to be your best bet, fantasy-wise, I guess.
What are the odds saying? Because with Swift out, I would think he'd be heavily favoured towards Denver.
Yeah, so they are favourites. Call it heavy favourites, $1.20.
Yeah, that's heavy.
I would say that's heavy.
Lines are $4.60 at the moment. We've got a line of 10, total match points of 42.5.
Don't like any gambling on that, to be honest. Another game which I am unsure gambling-wise, 49ers take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams lost last week to the Seahawks and the LA Chargers. 49ers a little bit of a shock loss. They have been really poor, actually, in that matchup against Pete Carroll and his Seattle Seahawks in recent years. Tell you who was good, George Kittle. 9 catches, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's been excellent since he's got back from his injury.
His balance, when he catches the ball and absorbs that first shot,
hates being tackled.
More often than not, he's the one that stays on his feet and keeps going. And it's nice to see because there's probably a little bit of an underwhelming start of the year from George Kittle. We know what he's capable of, probably up there with Travis Kelce on talent. Just the injuries and, situations hadn't really seen him be able to display that talent. So really nice to see him go absolutely bananas last week, even if it was in a loss. And I tell you who else was going bananas? T. Higgins. He had 9 catches, 138 yards, a touchdown, back-to-back fantasy games with 20 points. I think people are starting to realise Jamar Chase is pretty fucking good.
I think he did. I think Chase might have dropped a potential deep touchdown.
Yeah, he did. He did. So some of that preseason chat coming out.
Yeah, but
I think that's a bit of noise. Really,
well, I think coverage-wise, he's definitely getting a lot more coverage his way. He's been a bit quiet in the last month.
He has, yeah.
To the point, I think Mac Jones is kind of firmed as Rookie of the Year favourite. Javonte Williams kind of entering that chat a little bit too for the league kind of running back. Or Najee Harris, of course, is in that conversation as well. So there's some other guys now kind of moving ahead of Chase in that conversation. Rookie of the Year. I think Mac Jones, what he's doing, stat-wise, 2 for 3 probably doesn't help his chances, but winning football games, he's definitely
that always helps. That always helps.
So, which, as you said, frees up T. Higgins. What do you think for this game? I just don't like the 49ers for whatever reason. They're missing something.
Yeah, I agree. They're not that same 49ers that made a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
I think Elijah Mitchell... Eli Mitchell, is also...
That's his name.
Yeah. He's banged up, I believe.
Going into it, he'll be a questionable. He's probably not worth looking up. It'll be a game day decision in a few days. But I like
towards the Bengals.
Paul Brown Stadium. I think the Bengals get this job done and make that AFC North really spicy. I'll go Cincinnati too.
Yep, nice.
Interesting.
This is interesting.
Yeah, I've gone Cincinnati as well. That being said, we've all picked the underdogs here at $2.06.
The underdog.
Yeah, only just.
What are the... Keep going.
Yep. All right.
The underdog.
Oh, yeah, the underdog.
What are the Niners paying?
49ers are $1.77. That being said, we do have a line of 1.5 and total match points of 48.5.
Yep, don't like any of that. In what will probably be one of the matches of this week, the Bills do take on the Buccaneers. The Bills sitting in an interesting spot at 7-5. Buccaneers up there with 9-3. We mentioned it before. Bills copped to Belichick, and I think Belichick's probably firming as coach of the year at this rate.
Hard to argue against him.
Yeah, with the job they're doing. So kind of putting the point that, Belichick and Brady, they are both good, even if they aren't together. They're both GOATs, as we expected.
Interesting memes as well last week about Bill Belichick beating the Bills. He's so good they named the team after him.
Yeah. The Bucks, on the other hand, they keep rolling on. I think Tom Brady's favourite for MVP as well.
Which is fucking nuts.
Yes. They've got all the weapons. Regular season Lenny is having a great year.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Chris Godwin, AB goes out with his fake vaccination and Chris Godwin fires. Like, they've got so many weapons there. Gronk's been good since back. He's got 2 tutters. I think I went Bucks in this.
I think the Bucks get it done.
Yeah, they keep rolling. For
the
mine.
Bills, I know we spoke about it earlier, but they just don't seem like the Bills of last year. They can't run the ball. They're dropping games that you wouldn't expect them to drop. Jacksonville being the blatantly obvious
they'll
one.
Come out in this one and score 40 points.
Possibly.
Possibly. Josh Allen's slinging the rock around.
Yeah, look, against that...
He'll throw the ball 50 times, I guarantee.
Yeah, he will. Because they can't run the ball. Yeah. They can't run the ball. And against that Bucks front seven, most teams struggled to run the ball. Yeah. I've gone the Bucks here. Shootout would be interesting. I'd like to see a shootout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I've obviously gone Bucks as well. That our favourites are $1.57. The Bills are out at $2.41 at the moment. We've got a line of 3. Total match points 53.5.
It's quite high. Don't bet the unders overs. It's hard. It is hard.
So we then have the Giants taking on the Chargers in the next match. The Giants are coming off a loss against the Finns, who have actually been ascending a little bit.
Yeah, 5 in a row.
Gannon got the start. Monks, can you find out who's starting for us this week for the Giants? They have been really struggling to score points. They've got no skill position players. Saquon's back.
Back.
But everyone else is kind of banged up. The offensive line is hot garbage. The Chargers, on the other hand, they have the COVID. Keenan Allen got COVID. And then Mike Williams and Chris Harris both on the COVID list.
Who's vaccinated there, do you know?
So Keenan Allen vaccinated by all accounts. Williams and Harris not. So those two will definitely miss the game.
Yep.
Allen potentially could come back in.
He's two negative tests, is that right?
Back to back, and he'll be right to go. Of course, timing is going to be the issue. All three is a huge loss, really. Your top 2 receivers for Justin Herbert being out would be big against the Giants. They did look good against the Bengals.
Who is their third receiver? Guyton?
Guyton, and I think Josh Palmer, their rookie, is the other one. So
yeah, not much experience there.
No, not at all. And they got old man Cook playing tight ends, probably the only other option. So expect, if that is the case, expect a lot of Austin Eckler and maybe some Justin Jackson, I think, coming in there as well. They look good against Bengals. They put up a lot of points. Herbert 300 plus with 3 tutters. I have picked the Chargers in spite of their COVID issues. I think, because I've got Keenan Allen as well, I hope Keenan Allen can play in this one. He's had a great month as well.
Yeah. 2 touchdowns last weekend.
So it'll be interesting to see what they look like without those. Otherwise, I'd be a little bit concerned, but they should still take care of the Giants, irrespective of that.
I agree. It's a great opportunity to take on the Chargers, with this COVID outbreak. But the Giants, as we mentioned, they're banged up themselves. Their offense is really struggling. Their last 3 weeks, 9, 13, and 10 points. I don't think they can score enough points to beat Los Angeles here. I've gone the Chargers. An interesting one in terms of punting, because who knows who will play for the Los Angeles Chargers. But I still think, regardless, they get the job done.
Yep.
Who's starting? Have you got?
Yeah, so to that, the New York Giants are preparing Jake Form to start.
Oh, Jake Fromm. He's
The From.
He's off that QB1 show. He was at Buffalo for quite some time. He's a Georgia boy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him get the start. He's a big, strong bloke. Out of Georgia. He was sat behind Josh Allen for the last few seasons. So that'd be interesting if Jake Fromm gets the nod there.
Yeah, so they are prepping him. They are hoping, they're optimistic that Mike Lennon will still start for him. Obviously, with Daniel Jones still out with his neck injury. All that being said, my tip and odds probably reflect the woes of the Giants at the moment. So I've gone Chargers as well. Their favourites are $1.20. Giants are out at $4.60 at the moment. We've got a line of 9.5 and total match points of 43.
Bit too short, you would think, with the COVID outbreak there, but all three Chargers here. Sunday Night Football, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. The Chicago Bears take on the Green Bay Packers. Andy Dalton, he was pretty rubbish last week in the loss to the Cards through 4 picks.
To that point, I think Justin Fields is starting this week.
Oh, can you chase that up? Because that changes the game dynamic a little bit. David Montgomery's been a bit of a shining light since coming back from his injury in the last few weeks. He had 90 yards on the ground and a touchdown, 8 catches for 51 yards. Not normally used in the passing game. Possibly a bit of that was game situation, trying to chase the Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers should be fresh. They're coming off the bye. Aaron Jones should be back after that MCL sprain. Devontae Adams should be ready to go. Up there at Lambeau Field, the Green Bay Packers, you'd think, get the job done. I can't see any reason outside of my own personal bias. Outside of that, boys?
Yeah, I agree. Packers should win this game coming off the bye. I think the main interesting point is probably their running back situation with Dylan kind of taking the lead. I think Matt LaFleur came out during the week saying they're 1A and 1B. But the recent kind of couple of weeks has been the hot hand's been Dylan over Aaron Jones. So I'd be interested to see how they go in this one, how that workload kind of spits out.
Jones coming off an injury, I think they're great. I think they complement each other perfectly. You've got AJ Dillon, this unit. He's got some of the biggest quads,
I think
quads getting around, a short yardage situation, strong as fuck.
And I think
then Jones is a bit more shifty, you know.
Well, I think this game probably leads more towards a grindy Dillon game with the Bears defense in their front seven. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a little bit more extra touches than AJ does.
Interesting. I've got both of them in different fantasy leagues. So I've got Dillon in one and Jones in the other. So kind of really rooting for both. As a Packers fan, I think it's great. I think they've got two guys that really complement each other. And Jones is established, and Dillon is just coming along in leaps and bounds. Amongst the odds, I imagine it's a Green Bay Packer tip for you.
Yep.
How short are they?
So before I get onto that, Field is starting. So he's been medically cleared for his ribs, so he's all good to go. Packers are favourites, $1.14. The Bears are out at $5.75 at the moment, sorry. Handicap saw a line of 11.5 and total match points of 43 again.
That's very short. $1.14. You'd think the Pack get the job done. Remember the last time they played Aaron Rodgers? I own you. I own you. Saturday Night Football, we'll see what happens. Monday Night Football, on the other hand, sees two elite teams going at it. The NFC West leaders, the Arizona Cardinals, they're the number one seed in the NFC. They're 10-2. They take on the Rams, who are 8-4. The Rams coming off that shellacking of the Jags. Sony and Michelle.
Expected. They had to smack him.
Very good. Can you chase up Daryl Henderson's status? I had an absolute meal in my fantasy game, but luckily I got the win against the man on my left here. I picked up Sony Michelle. I knew that Daryl Henderson was questionable. It was an 8 o'clock a.m. start over here in Australia. I thought I'll check it before then. I went to work, forgot about it. And Sony Michelle went out there and scored like 26 fantasy points. Speaking of good fantasy performance, Cooper Kupp, 8 catches, 129 yards, 1 touchdown last week. He's listed as questionable. I hope it's just one of those more precautionary things.
Yeah, management.
Because it would be a shame if he misses out because he's on track to break all kinds of records this week. Speaking of, he's the first player ever through 12 games to have 100 catches and 10 touchdowns. He does not have a single fantasy game with single-digit fantasy points.
Yep.
Congrats to anyone that drafted him. I think he was projected maybe, sort of 15 to 20 receivers.
I feel bad for all those people who picked Bobby Trees over him.
Indeed, indeed. An absolute breakout year. Him and Matt Stafford absolutely teed it off. It's an extra game. If he stays healthy, he's going to break some records, you'd imagine.
Oh, easy.
The Cardinals, on the other hand, they got that win against the Bears. They didn't have to do too much on offense. Helps when Dalton's throwing you the ball more often to the guys in red. And the most encouraging thing, I suppose, for Arizona was Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins, both back.
And I think Chase Edmonds is not too far away as well. So, they're starting to get healthy at the right time of the year. I have picked the Cards with no real reason. I just like the Cards. I think the Rams...
Better record at home.
Yeah, I think the Rams the last month, besides beating, they should spank the Jags. That's a definite.
Sure.
But the games they played leading into that were uninspiring. So I've picked the Cards because I think they're kind of flat track bullies at the moment, the Rams. So I've picked them here to win this game and probably an electric game with lots of points, hopefully, and an excellent Monday Night Football game with Peyton Manning having the Manning cast being excellent as always.
I've gone the upset. I've gone the Los Angeles Rams to upset the Arizona Cardinals. No real reason, like you said. They put away the bad teams. They've looked a little bit how you going against the good teams. Green Bay comes to mind a few weeks ago. Look, I think their offense is unbelievable. I think they've got the guys there on defense. Obviously, with your Aaron Donalds, your Jalen Ramseys. Am I confident in this? No. Will I put any money on this? No. Outside of some kind of same game multi-iteration. Will I lose it? Yes. But am I fired up to see this on a Monday Night Football matchup? Often Monday Night Football can be a little bit lackluster. This is fire. Can't wait to see it. Two teams that you'd imagine to see go deep in the playoffs.
Yep.
That's it, yeah. Quickly on Daryl Henderson, he is limited in practice, trending in the right direction, but probably seems like a game day sort of situation there.
Again, Sonny Michelle, get around him. PlayStation.
Well, like you said, if they make it deep in playoffs, so Cam Akers is a shout to actually
come back. Really, I did not know that.
Yeah,
only playoffs though, and it'd be deep in the playoffs.
Deep, sure.
Yeah, fair. Back to the odds. Cards are favourites $1.72. The Rams are $2.13 at the moment. We've got a line of 2 and total match points of 51.5.
It's reasonably close. Close.
A lot of points. I would.
Yeah.
Again, we were saying it. Don't bet on the
Shootout in the desert, perhaps.
Yeah. To finish up the NFL notes, there the teams on buys. We've got Finns, Eagles, and the Colts. Like I said before, the Finns have been doing well recently. I think
5 in a row.
Five in a row. Yeah. The Eagles, they did have Minshew Mania, and they got their win. The Colts have potentially the MVP. There with Jonathan Taylor. He's had an excellent run of form in the last, say, 6 weeks. And that Colts team healthy, they've been really good, winning a lot. I don't think they're going to capture, chase down Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady will end up winning his MVP, which leads into the next point with the Pats. They also have the bye 9-4. Potentially could have Bill Belichick taking on Tom Brady Super Bowl. That I think would be great for the headlines, and it would be so juicy, very interesting to see.
There was some ESPN stats predictor or something which had this as the most likely Super Bowl matchup, which is wild to think of. Again, take that with a grain of salt. We've still got 6 regular season games to go.
A lot to happen, plus playoffs. So
14, 15, 16.
Hey, it's in
Five
it's
to
in February.
go. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go, but that comes into the realm of possibility.